Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Born monster, dark fruit. At the beginning, upon waking up, Xia Yan found herself transported to the world of pirates. A weak chicken with sub-healthy body, dressed in a world full of monsters, should have started hell. But Xia Yan didn't panic at all. Because the system that brought him into this world gave him a golden finger. Born monster, multi-powered constitution. Before he fell asleep. Open any treasure chest and obtain Blackbeard's long-awaited natural series, Dark Fruit. Xia Yan couldn't imagine how to lose in such a wild start. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Natural Monsters plus Dark Fruits. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. On July 8, 1515 in the Haiyuan calendar, it was one of the 7 great shipping routes in the first half. A pirate ship slowly sailing on the sea, with corpses lying on its deck. The death of the corpse was very tragic, either the head was twisted 180 degrees, or the body was opened and pierced by some weapon or force, even penetrating the body. Fortunately, the sea breeze today is quite strong. Otherwise, the strong smell of blood and the stench of corpses that had already emanated under the hot sunlight would definitely make every person approaching feel stomach acid churning. People with weak psychological resilience may vomit on the spot and have nightmares while sleeping tonight. Not only on the deck, but also inside the cabin, there are corpses everywhere. The dead state of these corpses is similar to that of the deck corpses. Some are like hanging paintings, trapped in walls, while others are inserted into ceilings or wooden floors. Obviously, their cause of death was an unstoppable force impact. Ha ha ha. At this moment, a burst of excited and ecstatic laughter suddenly sounded from the captain's room and quickly spread throughout the entire cabin, spreading through layers of ship walls to the outside. At such a volume, the owner of this laughter definitely has an iron lung. And being able to make the other person laugh like this, either picking up a treasure or something big happened. The fact is. Indeed. Dark fruit, it's really dark fruit, ha ha ha. Inside the captain's cabin, Xia Yan held a fruit in a purple color, resembling a pineapple and shaped like a snail spiral. Beside him, there was also a tortured and tragic corpse, which was the captain of this pirate ship. After carefully examining the demon fruit in his hand, Xia Yan let out an uncontrollable burst of laughter again. Ha ha ha. If you get the dark fruit in this way, it's either bad luck or you give up that guy with the black beard and choose me as your master. Since that's the case, then become my strength and join me in falling out on this sea. After speaking, Xia Yan opened his mouth and bit into the dark fruit in his hand. You only need to take a bite of the devil fruit to gain abilities. But Xia Yan chose to finish all the demon fruits. The indescribable taste did not make him show any exaggerated expression. Xia Yan, 23 years old this year, a traveler. Unlike those souls who travel through time and space, take someone's body, live under someone else's name, or have their souls come to this world and reincarnate as human beings. Xia Yan's way of traveling is through wearing clothes. The sub-healthy weak chicken, dressed in clothes, enters the pirate world with numerous races and monsters, undoubtedly marking the beginning of the difficulty of hell. Firstly, in terms of potential, Xia Yan doesn't know how many times she needs to break the limit in order to reach the level of a fish man's strength. And the fish man, except for a few strong ones, the rest are cannon fodder in the new world. Secondly, there is local welfare. If there is a world will in this world, which stipulates that only the indigenous people of this world can understand the unique cutting steel and dominance of this world, then Xia Yan is destined to be unable to become a swordsman and awaken dominance. It can be seen from this how desperate it is to be dressed. It's difficult to survive unless you start with a powerful demon fruit. But Xia Yan didn't panic at all. Because he is not simply dressed, he is also a systematic man. Although this system is not awesome, not only does it have no name, but it falls into a deep sleep after bringing it to this world. But before falling asleep, the system gave Xia Yan a rookie gift package. It's also this beginner's gift package that allows Xia Yan's hell to start, instantly turning into a wild start. Because of his newbie gift package, it is undoubtedly a type of physique called born monster. Multi-ability constitution. In addition to certain races, the world of pirates is naturally endowed with racial talents, and there are also individual selected sons within humans who are born with special talents. These chosen sons are also known as innate monsters. For example, Charlotte Lingling and Blackbeard are born monsters. The Red Count and E.G., who were born with the aura of seeing, hearing, and color, can also be called innate monsters. The former is physical, the latter is spiritual. Xia Yan's physique is the former. And his, born monster, multi-ability constitution, is also an upgraded combination of Charlotte Lingling and Blackbeard. Charlotte Lingling and Blackbeard have strong physical fitness, but both have very obvious flaws. For example, Charlotte Lingling possesses impenetrable defense, immense power, and monster-like physical abilities. However, due to her excessive physical talent, her appetite has been astonishing since childhood, and she even suffers from severe anorexia. Not to mention Blackbeard, his body structure may be different from ordinary people. Not only does he hardly need to sleep, he can also eat 2 devil fruits, and maybe even multiple devil fruits. But Blackbeard's physical fitness is not as incredible as Charlotte Lingling's. And Xia Yan's constitution is similar to their combination, but without the flaws of their constitution. Xia Yan doesn't have any inner vision, but he clearly feels that his internal structure seems to be the same as before. But what can be certain is that Xia Yan's bloodline factor has changed from before. Before crossing over, the Pirate King had already revealed the principle behind humans eating the devil's fruit and gaining abilities. Every person is born with a complete set of bloodline factors. After eating the devil's fruit, the devil's power will integrate into the cells and recombine the original bloodline factors. Each person's bloodline factor can only be recombined once. If they eat another demonic fruit, the two will conflict and eventually explode and die. Xia Yan is an exception now. No matter how many demon fruits he eats, his bloodline factor will recombine. These demonic powers will not cause any conflict within him. Moreover, his energy can last up to 24 hours without sleeping, which is very magical. After acquiring the physique of a natural monster, Xia Yan immediately transformed from a weak chicken with sub-health to a monster with giant power and an invincible body, starting the game invincible in all directions. By the way, the timeline that Xia Yan crossed was at the beginning of the year 1515 in the Haiyuan calendar, located in the North Sea. After spending half a year mastering the power of the new body, Xia Yan left the North Sea and embarked on a great voyage, preparing to go to the New World to search for the natural series of dark fruits. Having a multi-talented physique, there is no demon fruit, and it is more suitable for Xia Yan than the natural dark fruit. So Xia Yan's idea was similar to Blackbeard's, and he decided to enter the New World first to search for the natural series, dark fruit. If you haven't found the natural dark fruit, join the Whitebeard Pirates, and while developing for a few years, build good relationships with Sage and Ace, who will join the Whitebeard Pirates in the future. After Saki received the natural dark fruit, he cut off his beard before Blackbeard. As long as he obtains the natural dark fruit, with the monster's innate physical strength, Xia Yan can eat another top-level demon fruit and immediately unleash its amazing power, just like Blackbeard obtaining the Superman shock fruit. Unexpectedly, Xia Yan had not yet entered a new world, and in the first half of the Great Voyage, he obtained the natural series dark fruit. Hunting a group of pirates casually and opening a treasure chest while collecting loot, one can obtain the natural series of dark fruits that Blackbeard dreams of. It's not surprising that Xia Yan would burst into laughter. Just as he said. This is either bad luck. Either it's the natural series, dark fruit, that gave up Blackbeard and chose Xia Yan as its new owner. During Xia Yan's time traveling, a new setting happened to emerge in the pirate world, which was the top-level demon fruit, seemingly choosing its own owner. Since Nika fruit would choose its owner, it is not surprising that the opposing natural and dark fruits would also choose their owner. But no matter which one it is, Xia Yan doesn't care. After all, he is a man with a systematic bottom line. Chapter 2. Superman Series. Gate Fruit. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Is this the power of darkness? What a terrifying gravity. Xia Yan, who had just eaten the dark fruit of the nature series, immediately mastered the power of darkness. I saw a young man who was 1.89 meters tall, with short black hair, handsome and dressed in black clothes and pants, walking out of the cabin of the pirate ship. Slips of black mist swirled around him. The originally fair right hand is now wrapped in black mist, forming a black hand. Only those who master the aura of sight, hearing, and color can perceive the power contained in this black hand. That's the power of black holes. What is the strongest black hole? That's gravity. The secret passage. Xia Yan suddenly crouched down, his right hand wrapped in black mist pressing against the ground of the deck. A black mist, like ink, surged out of Xia Yan's hand and spread in all directions. In just 2 blinks, the black mist covered the deck. Then the invisible gravity pulled the deck covered in black mist like a swamp, pulling all the corpses lying on it into the space of the black hole. After devouring all the corpses, black mist returned along the same path and was reabsorbed by Xia Yan's black hand. Liberation. Xia Yan stood straight, and black mist surged out of his body like a dam once again. This time, the black mist is no longer spreading in all directions, but is compressed into a huge black dragon roll, rising into the sky. As the black dragon rolls around, corpses keep flying out of it, shooting into the sea like arrows, splashing huge splashes of water. Quickly, Xia Yan cleaned up the cabin and deck of the ship. Xia Yan is extremely satisfied with the ability of the dark fruit of the natural system. Although this most ferocious ability in history does not have the strongest elemental transformation of the natural system, it also has double the painful side effects. But compared to its black hole gravity, black hole space, and terrifying characteristics, it is nothing at all. Compared to Blackbeard, the Nature Series Dark Fruit has a higher affinity with Xia Yan. Because Xia Yan has the characteristic of being invincible. Except for domineering and special abilities, no one can break Xia Yan's defense. As long as Xia Yan's defense cannot be broken, he cannot feel double the pain. So the side effects of dark fruits have little effect on Xia Yan. When the side effects are minimal, the ability of the dark fruit becomes terrifying. Because in addition to the gravity and space of black holes, dark fruits also have their own characteristics like sea tower stones. Regardless of the demon fruit ability, as long as the body is touched by Xia Yan's palm, it will immediately lose the demon fruit ability and become a powerless person. Even Nika fruit is no exception. In addition, the gravitational force of a black hole can also capture the demonic power that slowly disappears in the host's body after the death of a capable person, causing it to immediately attach to the fruit in the hands of the dark fruit capable person for rebirth, or be directly absorbed by the dark fruit capable person with a special constitution, becoming their second fruit ability. This is the dark fruit of the natural system, which has neither astonishing physical destructive power or elemental transformation, and has very serious side effects, still becoming the most vicious cause of ability in history. It is precisely because it is the most ferocious demon fruit in history that only people with special constitutions are most suitable to become its owner. People without special constitutions who eat it are like waste, who have been eating Nika fruit for 800 years but cannot awaken it. Let's get to the point. After cleaning the pirate ship, Xia Yan took out an eternal pointer and looked in a certain direction of the sea. His eyes seemed to be burning with a hot flame, filled with impatience. First go hunt the first target, then go hunt the second target. As long as I get those 2 devil fruits, then this sea will have no more secrets and no more fear towards me. At that time, I will be able to grow rapidly. The Seven Water Capital, one of the most famous islands in the world. This is a world-recognized shipbuilding holy land, an island that existed 800 years ago. According to legend, one of the three ancient weapons that could destroy the world, known as the most evil warship in shipbuilding history, Pluto the Underworld, was manufactured by shipbuilders in the Seven Waters Capital. This place may also be the birthplace of the underworld. As a shipbuilding holy land and the only island in the world to enjoy sea trains, the bustling level of the Seven Rivers Capital can be imagined. In the first and second half of the Great Voyage, the eternal pointer of the Seven Waters Capital is one of the best. Selling pointers every year. Every day, a large number of sailboats sail into this beautiful city of water. They are not only from other waterways, but also from all over the world. After spending 7 days, Xia Yan finally arrived at this island. In these 7 days, Xia Yan has taken off the pirate flag of the pirate ship and painted off the patterns on the canvas. So when he entered the Seven Waters Capital, he did not encounter any obstacles. Under the guidance of the administrator, he sailed the sailboat into the port of the Seven Waters Capital. After anchoring the sailboat, Xia Yan paid a parking fee and purchased a local map at a booth, then rented a Blue, a specialty of the Seven Waters Capital. Riding on Blue, Xia Yan quickly arrived at Central Street again. After buying a unique mask from the Seven Waters Capital on the street, Xia Yan began searching for Bruno's tavern. Not bad, Xia Yan's first hunting target was Bruno, who had eaten Superman's gate fruit. Xia Yan didn't know if Blackbeard's special physique meant he could only eat 2 demon fruits, or if he could eat multiple demon fruits but was very picky and didn't eat them. Anyway, the system gives him a special physique, which is a multi-talented person physique that can eat multiple demon fruits. Such a perfect physique, combined with the natural and dark fruits of those who can hunt. If you only eat 1 or 2 devil fruits, it is simply a waste. So when Xia Yan decided to search for the natural dark fruit, she had already made a plan for her future development. I thought this plan would need to be launched in the year 1520 of the High Yuan calendar, which is the year of the natural series dark fruit. I had to cut off my black beard and then seize those 2 demon fruits to start. But after unexpectedly obtaining the natural dark fruit, Xia Yan couldn't help but take immediate action. As long as you obtain the Superman gate fruit and another demon fruit, Xia Yan's growth speed will be as fast as a rocket. Chapter 3. Fishing Man and 1,000 Cups Not Drunk. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Bruno, one of the members of CP9, was also one of the spies planted by Spandam in the Seven Waters Capital to obtain the design of the Hades. However, unlike the Lucas and others who entered the Corella Company as undercover agents, Bruno did not disguise himself as a shipbuilder and instead opened a tavern in the Seven Rivers. Disguising himself as an ordinary person, he can provide a gathering place for Luke and others, and also use the abilities of Superman's gate fruit to help them collect intelligence from the Seven Water Capital in a different space. The most incredible aspect of Superman's gate fruit is the ability to open the door through air, allowing capable individuals and others to enter another space. The gatekeeper with the ability to hide in another space is not only able to ignore all perceptions, but also secretly monitor someone. You can also lead an army to raid the heart of a certain place. This kind of demon fruit is simply a strategic existence. Bruno, who ate this demonic fruit, should be given priority training by the world government. But unfortunately, he met a stupid boss. He, who has no support, possesses such a powerful fruit ability, but unfortunately, he is targeted by a traveler who can seize the demon fruit ability. Bruno did not know that the darkness with a deadly aura had already enveloped him. Not long after, Xia Yan found Bruno. After all, those 2 horns like double ponytails are just too obvious. Xia Yan didn't immediately take action because it was daytime now. If Bruno is killed on the spot, it is likely to enter the eyes of the world government ahead of time. Before fully growing up, Xia Yan doesn't want to be targeted by the ubiquitous CP organization. So, Xia Yan is prepared to wait until it gets dark before taking action. And once he takes action, he will kill with one blow. Otherwise, if Bruno were to hide in a different space and see his appearance, it would be a bit difficult to hunt him again. So, Xia Yan pressed his killing intent in his heart and bought some alcohol from Bruno. Next, Xia Yan followed the instructions on the map and arrived at the largest navigation tool store in the Seven Waters capital. A navigation tool shop, as the name suggests, specializes in selling specialized tools for navigation. There are all kinds of tools here, such as blueprints for drawing nautical charts, water generators capable of producing fresh water, recording pointers for storing magnetic force, and eternal pointers for permanently preserving magnetic force, and even fishing rods for leisure time during navigation. Xia Yan chose to come to the navigation tool store to purchase the eternal pointer. Every time she visits a bustling island, Xia Yan visits the local navigation tool store to see if there are any eternal pointers she is looking for. Previously arrived on the island, Xia Yan only bought the eternal pointer of the Seven Water capital and Alabastion, and did not have the eternal pointer of the New World Island. And this time, Xia Yan finally saw the eternal pointer he wanted at the navigation tool store in the Seven Waters capital. Xia Yan didn't hesitate to pay for the purchase. Immediately, Xia Yan bought another fishing rod and bait, and then went to buy a small oven and barbecue utensils. After buying these things, Xia Yan rode blue away from Central Street and arrived at a deserted shore to start fishing. Sailing alone at sea is very lonely. Not only is there no one to chat with, but when sailing ships encounter harsh weather, they also feel helpless and even feel a sense of despair. This feeling made Xia Yan very uncomfortable at first. He also wants to recruit crew members and find some companions who can chat and drink with him. But Xia Yan, who has transformed from an ordinary person to a monster, also knows that the weak are not worthy of being his companions. Find some people you don't know as companions, maybe one day they will stab you from behind. Only those characters who appear in the original work and have a good understanding of each other's personalities are suitable to become crew members of Xia Yan. But now, it's not the time to find these characters. So Xia Yan's way of enduring loneliness is through exercising and fishing. Before eating the devil's fruit, Xia Yan likes to go to the sea to exercise. The two major characteristics of being invincible and having infinite strength allow Xia Yan to dive deep into the sea and hold his breath for a long time. Even if he became a dry duck now, Xia Yan still had confidence that even if he accidentally fell into the sea, he would not drown. But like Charlotte Lingling, her body will enter a state of self-protection and slumber until it is transported by the ocean to an island. This is the advantage of monsters. Now that I can't go to the sea to exercise, fishing has become Xia Yan's first choice for leisure time. And the marine life in this world is countless times more than the oceans of the original world. Xia Yan has never served in the Air Force and always catches various types of fish, big or small. At the peak of his achievements, Xia Yan even lifted a sea beast the size of a small sailboat. The other party wanted to eat Xia Yan, but was punched to death by Xia Yan, making it Xia Yan's dinner. After his physique became a monster, Xia Yan's appetite also became a monster. So when fishing, Xia Yan always eats while fishing. That's why he bought ovens and barbecue tools. Fishing man's time always passes quickly. In an instant, time arrived at night. Xia Yan, who had eaten some snacks, threw away all the tools she had just bought and rode blue back to Central Street. However, Xia Yan did not take immediate action. Instead, he went to a restaurant to solve today's dinner, and then went to Bruno's tavern to start his acting skills. I saw him order a large amount of alcohol and huddle in a corner, seeking drunkenness alone. At first, it was a slow drink, but as time passed, fewer and fewer people walked into the tavern and more left. After that, Xia Yan began to drink in a cow mode. Cup after cup, soon the table was filled with empty bottles. And Xia Yan himself also got drunk and lay down. People like this who get drunk, whether it's Bruno or the guests at the tavern, have already become commonplace. As the number of guests in the tavern decreased, gradually all of them left. Bruno, who had been busy all day, still ignored Xia Yan and cleaned the tavern first. After cleaning, he walked over to Xia Yan and politely pushed her, saying, "Guest, wake up. I need to close the door and rest." Bruno is preparing to bow before the soldiers. If Xia Yan hasn't woken up, he'll throw the drunkard into the alley. Fortunately, this guest did not get drunk into a mess. Xia Yan made a confused sound in his mouth, then lowered his head and propped his hands on the table, struggling to stand up. Immediately, Xia Yan reached out and casually placed his hand on Bruno, while getting drunk and saying, "My head is so dizzy. Give me a lift, I need to pay." Looking at Xia Yan, whose face turned red, eyes closed, and body swayed, Bruno had no doubt. He let Xia Yan's hand rest on him and kindly supported him. But the next second, his eyes suddenly widened. Xia Yan, who was originally drunk, suddenly opened his eyes. The deep black eyes were not only devoid of drunkenness, but also filled with sharpness that shook Bruno's heart. Bang! Click! Just as Bruno instinctively wanted to push Xia Yan away, the hand he placed on him suddenly released a terrifying force that not only held on to his body, but also made the fruit power within him disappear. At the same time, Xia Yan took the opportunity to punch and hit Bruno heavily in the left chest position. The terrifying force directly caused Bruno's chest to sink. The force turned into invisible waves, roaring out from behind Bruno, shattering his clothes and flipping over the tables and chairs behind him. From this, it can be seen how powerful Xia Yan's punch is. After being punched by Xia Yan, Bruno's eyes, which were full of shock, instantly turned white and he collapsed on Xia Yan's body. Not unconscious, but died on the spot. Not only did his rib fracture, but his heart was also shattered by Xia Yan's punch. If it weren't for gravity holding onto his body, Xia Yan's just punch would have caused Bruno's body to fly out. I didn't expect my physique to turn into 1,000 cups without getting drunk. With Bruno's body on her shoulder, Xia Yan looked at the empty wine bottles on the table and on the floor, and roast, "Fortunately, I am skilled in acting, and I am very cautious now, otherwise it would not be so smooth." During most of the half-year journey to this world, Xia Yan spent most of his time familiarizing himself with the power of his new body. "I won't go hunting pirates until I have no money to eat." And when he hunts, he always keeps a low profile and cuts down the grass and roots, leaving no one alive, regardless of gender. Because he wants to find the dark fruit of the natural series, he needs to keep a low profile. Otherwise, if he exposes his strength, even if he joins the Whitebeard pirates, he won't be able to be Saki's younger brother. That's exactly why Xia Yan had hunted many pirates, but he never appeared in the newspaper. It is normal for Bruno, who has no intelligence from Xia Yan, nor seen any domineering behavior and disguises himself as the owner of a tavern, to be successfully attacked by Xia Yan. When a monster is so careful and cautious that it cannot defeat a small servant with less than 300 Taoist powers, it is simply a shame. Chapter 4. Fruit in Hand, Kingdom of Dresrossa. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Carrying Bruno's body, Xia Yan arrived at the back of the tavern and began to seize the devil's fruit for the first time. In the original work, Blackbeard seized the shocking fruit of Whitebeard, but covered his body with a black cloth. At first, many netizens were speculating that the black cloth might be a dark fruit with the ability to prevent demon power from escaping. But as the chapter began 2 years later, revealing the ability of the devil fruit, there was a certain chance that it would attach itself to the nearest fruit and be reborn. This speculation had already been overturned. That black cloth is just Blackbeard's method of seizing the devil's fruit, simply not wanting others to see it. Moreover, when taking the devil's fruit, Blackbeard did not have any fruit in his hand, indicating that he had the ability to directly take the Superman-type shock fruit. This means that as long as you have a special physique, you can use the black hole gravity of the dark fruit to directly suck the demonic power from the deceased's body into your own body. So, after Xia Yan put down Bruno's body, he began to transform his physical strength into the power of darkness. A rich black mist surged out of the palm of the hand. Under Xia Yan's control, these black fog-like ink wrapped Bruno's body into a black zongzi. Immediately after, Xia Yan's black hand pressed against Bruno's body, and a vortex gradually formed around his palm. The gravitational force of the black hole seeped into Bruno's body, completely disappearing if there were no external forces. Then, in another year or two, the demonic force that would appear in a corner of the ocean forcefully pulled out and poured into Xia Yan's palm. Xia Yan, who was fully exerting the gravitational force of the black hole, clearly felt that special energy. When the energy is fully integrated into the body and becomes a part of oneself, the unprecedented double fruit ability has been born. Squeak. The sound of opening the door suddenly rang out. Xia Yan stood up and made a push of the door with his hand raised. The originally invisible air suddenly solidified into a transparent air door. Inside the air door, there is a green space. Is this the ability of Superman's gate fruit? Xia Yan carried Bruno's body and walked into a different space, then closed the air door. Looking at the outside world in a different space, Xia Yan couldn't help but sigh. This is simply the ability that spies and assassins dream of. Undoubtedly, the ability of Superman's gate fruit is definitely one of the most unsolvable abilities among all demon fruits. At least in terms of auxiliary abilities, few demon fruits can compare to them. As long as you hide in a different space, even the fourth emperor cannot harm the fruit ability of the sect unless the enemy can also enter the different space. This is even more powerful than Superman's barrier fruit. Moreover, those who possess the ability to produce fruits at the door are the absolute nemesis of barrier fruits. Hiding in a different space, the gatekeeper with fruit ability can also monitor the outside world, but people from outside cannot see him, no matter how powerful his aura is. Spies possess such abilities, and stealing intelligence is an easy task. Killers possess such abilities that it's not easy to assassinate someone. In addition, if the fruit of the gate is used for warfare, it is a strategic strike. An army only needs to walk in a different space to raid any position of the enemy. It's unbelievable that such an inexplicable ability appears on a special agent with less than 300 Dao points. If it appears on a small pirate, such as Forsyth who ate Superman's slow fruit, Xia Yan can understand. But such an inexplicable ability appeared among members of organizations under the world government, but the other party did not receive the due attention. Xia Yan can only say that it seems that no matter in which world, without connections and backstage, it is difficult to have a bright future. Fortunately, Bruno had no backstage and his boss was a stupid pig, so his inexplicable ability was able to benefit Xia Yan. After seizing the Superman series gate fruit, Xia Yan's heart was suddenly filled with a sense of security. With this ability, even in the face of the pursuit of the general and the fourth emperor, he is fearless. I am full of confidence in seizing the second demon fruit. So Xia Yan threw Bruno's body into a different space and destroyed it, then walked towards the dock of the Seven Waters capital. Running quickly in the green space, Xia Yan felt incredibly magical. Because he is in a different space, all external objects have now become virtual shadows. Running in a different space, able to ignore all obstacles. If one has a phantom left in the outside world, it is like the divine power of the Hokage world. Phantom. Quickly, Xia Yan returned to the dock of the Seven Rivers capital. Squeak. In the living room of the cabin, a transparent air door appeared out of thin air. Xia Yan, who pushed open the door, quickly arrived on the deck, set anchor and set sail, and left the Seven Rivers capital that night. Although the magnetic force of the recording pointer is not yet fully stored, it has no impact on Xia Yan at all. Take out the newly purchased eternal pointer, and Xia Yan walks in the direction indicated by the pointer. This eternal pointer is an island in the New World and also the location of Xia Yan's second target to hunt. A few days later, Xia Yan crossed the Devil's Triangle ruled by Moonlight Moria and arrived at the Shambhodri Islands at the end of the first half of the Great Voyage. During this time, Xia Yan thought about whether to go to the Moonlight Pirates for a while. After all, Superman Shadow Fruit, Superman Ghost Fruit, and Superman Transparent Fruit are all very precious demon fruits. But after some thought, Xia Yan still dispelled this idea. At present, hunting is still the second most important goal. The Moonlight Pirates will also stay in the Devil's Triangle for 5 years. When his strength can completely crush the Moonlight Pirates, he can come and harvest them at any time. Upon arriving at the Shampoo Islands, Xia Yan did not go to admire this archipelago, which is formed by the roots of the world's largest mangrove tree and also the most beautiful in the world. After parking the sailboat at a port in a civilian area and paying a berthing fee, Xia Yan went to buy a small boat and had someone take care of the sailboat. Walking in a different space with a small boat, Xia Yan relied on the ability of the Superman series and the Gate Fruit to directly cross the Red Earth continent and arrive at the New World on the other side. Others need to venture into the Fish-Man Island 10,000 meters below, or pay an expensive fee to abandon a ship from the Holy Land of Maricoya and enter the New World. For the Superman series, it is just that simple. After entering the New World, Xia Yan immediately piloted a small boat towards the location of the second target. Along the way, Xia Yan encountered various adverse weather conditions. If it was before eating the dark fruit, then no matter what the climate is, there is no threat to Xia Yan. But after eating the dark fruits of the natural system and becoming a dry duck, Xia Yan became a little wary of the unpredictable climate of the Great Voyage. But this fear quickly disappeared again. Because Xia Yan has the ability of Superman's Gate Fruit. Even if riding on a small boat and encountering a once-in-a-century storm on the sea, Xia Yan only needs to hide in a different space to safely avoid all dangers. The outer space is the safest emergency shelter in the world. In the neighboring world of Hokage, Uchiha Daitu is hiding in a different space, using his ethereal abilities to play with the entire ninja realm. A few days later, Xia Yan finally arrived at the island where the Eternal Pointer preserves its magnetic force. The name of this island is the Kingdom of Dresrossa. Chapter 5. Superman Series. Staring Fruits, Killing Sisters to Prove the Way. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Kingdom of Dresrossa is a small island that can be seen on great waterways and all over the world. As a kingdom of small islands, the Kingdom of Dresrossa has only one city. A few years ago, this country was also one of the poorest among all the participating countries. The national treasury doesn't even have 10 billion baileys. However, with the replacement of the king and the replacement of Don Quixote de Domingo, one of the 7 martial seas under the king, the country quickly became wealthy and was transformed into a tropical island with a vacation style. In the New World, the Kingdom of Dresrossa is one of the entertainment holy sites, second only to the world's largest entertainment city, Gulen Tezelo. There are large arenas here, famous couple streets, and humanoid dolls and so on. Xia Yan did not openly enter the Kingdom of Dresrossa, nor did he approach the Kingdom of Dresrossa in a small boat. But after seeing the Kingdom of Dresrossa, he opens the air door and enters the alien space, sneaking into the Dresrossa kingdom from the alien space, and then begins to search for his own target. Xia Yan's goal is not to eat sugar from Superman's children's fun fruit, nor is it to eat baby .5 from Superman's weapon fruit. But it was Violet, the second daughter of the previous king, King Liku, who ate the Superman series of staring fruits. Yes, the third ability that Xia Yan has prepared for herself is still not the demonic fruit with strong destructive power, but the Superman-type staring fruit, which is also an auxiliary type. Just like Superman's Gate Fruit, Superman's staring fruit is also one of the unsolvable and strategic demon fruits. This ability possesses the abilities of perspective, farsightedness, and mind reading. As long as a person is within the field of vision of a capable individual, they are like naked and their current thoughts will be immediately read. However, compared to perspective and mind-reading abilities, the most terrifying ability of a person with the ability to stare at fruits is still far-sightedness. The farsightedness of staring at fruits is truly a 1,000-mile eye. Capable individuals can observe beyond a radius of 4,000 kilometers with their vision centered on themselves. What is the concept of a radius of 4,000 kilometers? 1 nautical mile is equivalent to 1.85 kilometers, and 4,000 kilometers is 2,159.8 nautical miles. It is known that the world's largest entertainment city, Gulantezelo, is an island ship that is 10,000 meters long, which is 10 kilometers long. That is to say, even if 400 golden ships line up, they cannot exceed the field of view of 1,000 miles. And this 1,000-mile eye can also be used in conjunction with perspective and mind reading. If this ability appears on the battlefield, the enemy's troop deployment and combat plan will all be known in advance. The side with the ability to stare at fruits will also have an absolute intelligence advantage. When Superman's Gate Fruit and Superman's Staring Fruit both appear on the same faction, it is simply a dimension reduction blow. If these two abilities appear on a person at the same time, their combat power will not be mentioned, but they will definitely be fearless of any threat or pursuit from any force. When your sailboat is still thousands of miles away, the other party has already seen you and knows what you are thinking inside. Unless you have space to teleport and can enter another space, you will never find the other party. So the Superman series, staring at the Fruit.Xia Yan is bound to win. As long as he obtains the Superman series staring fruit, he is not afraid to offend those superpowers. Even if it's extremely unlucky, encountering a powerful and domineering figure who can control internal destruction on the road, there's no fear that the other person will suddenly make a mistake and want to take down or capture oneself. Similarly, those targets that are being targeted by oneself, no matter where they hide, cannot escape their own eyes. So, Xia Yan began to walk in a different space, searching for the figure of Violet. The kingdom of Dresrossa is just a small country with not only one city, but also many people who have become dolls due to sugar. Due to Violet's special identity, Xia Yan only spent a few hours finding Violet behind the casino. Violet, who possesses the abilities of far-sightedness, perspective, and mind-reading, used her mind-reading ability to see which guy made a mistake before needing to use her clairvoyance, which is indeed a valuable aspect. After finding Violet, Xia Yan was not in a hurry to take action. Currently, Xia Yan has not yet fought against a truly strong opponent, and there is no precise assessment of her own strength. So, Xia Yan temporarily doesn't want to enter the eyes of those big shots and is preparing to use assassination methods to kill Violet. After seizing the ability of Superman's staring fruit, he immediately left the New World and returned to the first half of the Great Voyage or the Four Seas, developing for a period of time. So Xia Yan kept hiding in a different space, silently staring at Violet. During this period, Xia Yan also saw the highest official of the Don Quixote family. He is the fighting legion that leads the Don Quixote family, and has eaten the Superman style of Diamante's flying fruit. In theory, as the assassin of the Toripole Legion, Violet's leader should be Toripole, who has eaten Superman's sticky fruit. But due to Torpole's need for close protection of sugar, many family matters are handled by Diamante and Pika. Fortunately, Diamante didn't come to find Violet, but to find the casino manager. At night, Violet, who had been working all day, finally left the casino and returned to the palace. Violet did not go to find Domingo, but returned to his princess's room. As a superhero with the ability to stare at fruits, she was favored by Doflamenco. Although she lost her princess status, some privileges still existed. She is also the most special existence among all the assassins of the Don Quixote family. Upon returning to the room, Violet immediately wanted to take a shower. Just as she opened the wardrobe and was preparing to choose clothes, Xia Yan, who was hiding in a different space, finally found an opportunity and revealed his sharp claws and teeth. Xia Yan walked towards Violet and extended his palm. The next second, Violet from outside, with her beautiful light brown eyes and small mouth, suddenly spun rapidly. The ability of the fruit of a door not only allows it to open doors on objects, but also on non-object forms such as flames and air, and even on the human body. The types, sizes, and shapes of doors also vary. The door that caused Violet's eyes and mouth to rotate was exactly the revolving door used by Bruno against Luffy in the original work. The rapidly spinning eyes and mouth made Violet instantly dizzy, unable to even utter a cry for help. Squeak. Xia Yan, who temporarily sealed Violet's vision and speaking ability, immediately opened an air door and pulled Violet into a different space from behind. Click. Xia Yan, who closed the air door, used dark water to seal Violet's fruit ability, while her other hand mercilessly grabbed her neck and squeezed it hard. With the sound of a broken throat bone, Violet's beautiful eyes suddenly turned white and scattered. The body that was still struggling suddenly became soft. Xia Yan also achieved the feat of killing his sister and preaching, as well as ruthlessly destroying flowers. Chapter 6. The World's Strongest Talent, 6 Styles. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Violet looks very good and has a pitiful experience. But Xia Yan still mercilessly killed her. The travelers are all egoists, and Xia Yan is no exception. He from another world, who killed people from this world, has no sense of guilt. If Violet wants to blame her for having the ability that Xia Yan wants. In the face of strategic capabilities, a good-looking skin is not worth mentioning at all. After killing Violet, Xia Yan quickly seized the ability of Superman's staring fruit. Immediately, Xia Yan's eyes closed for a while, then slowly opened. In an instant, the world in front of me underwent tremendous changes. I saw Xia Yan's gaze, like a stream of light, passing through the room and also through the palace, soaring into the sky. Then a pair of huge invisible eyes looked down on the kingdom of Dresrossa facing Xia Yan. All the images seen from the perspective of God were projected into Xia Yan's mind. In addition, Xia Yan's eyes maintain a first-person perspective and can instantly appear anywhere seen from God's perspective. At this moment, Xia Yan slowly raised his hands and made an OK gesture with his thumb and index finger. A thin membrane-like substance was formed within the circle between his fingers. Then Xia Yan switched his view to the street and placed the circles of his 2 fingers in front of his eyes. The men and women on the street first lose their clothes and become naked, then their flesh and skin disappear, leaving only walking bones. The screen zoomed in again, and all the images in the hearts and minds of these people were projected into Xia Yan's mind. This is farsightedness, perspective, and mind reading. What a powerful ability. Enelu and Tinghu have seen and heard with a domineering aura. In front of this ability, it is at the level of a younger brother. After using the 3 abilities of staring at the fruit, Xia Yan exclaimed slightly. Meanwhile, Xia Yan's heart was filled with confidence. Now, there's really no need to be afraid of anything. You can confidently enhance your strength and gradually form a fleet. So Xia Yan threw Violet's body into a different space and walked towards the dock of the kingdom of Dresrossa. On the way, Xia Yan used his 1,000-mile eyes to search for a sparsely populated sailboat, and then used the method of killing Violet to eliminate all the people on the boat before stealing their sailboat and leaving. The disappearance of Violet will surely startle Duo Flamenco. If Doflamingo didn't have the opponent's life card, he might suspect Violet had escaped and then vent his anger on the king of Nechu. If Domingo had Violet's life card, it is believed that he would soon know that Violet is dead, and then suspect that a powerful guy has arrived in the kingdom of Dresrossa, starting to alert and search. However, these have nothing to do with Xia Yan. After eating the dark fruit, Xia Yan has been very anxious during this period. Hurry to go hunting Bruno in the 7-water capital, and also hurry to come to the kingdom of Dresrossa to hunt Violet. If it weren't for Xia Yan's special physique, he wouldn't have been able to endure without resting at all. Even so, Xia Yan felt very tired inside. After all, he has been sailing at sea almost all these days. I didn't have enough time in the Seven Waters capital for a day, and didn't even have an hour in the Shambhodri Islands before heading to the New World. The islands encountered on the road are only replenished and then left. Xia Yan doesn't like this kind of navigation. Now that she has the ability she wants and the confidence to be fearless of all threats, Xia Yan can finally start enjoying and experiencing the excitement of the other world. So Xia Yan took out an eternal pointer and piloted the sailboat towards the direction of the Red Earth continent. Half a month later. Boom. 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 On a deserted island in the first half of the Great Voyage, Xia Yan was hitting a rocky mountain that was over 10 meters high. To be precise, it is using rock mountains to practice boxing. Who is the most talented person in this world? Xia Yan was unaware of the talents of Rox and Roger. But among the current 4 emperors, no one has the talent of childhood and can be more outstanding than Charlotte Lingling. As a natural monster, she only wanted to help the giant drive away mosquitoes when she was 5 years old, but accidentally slapped and broke several of the opponent's ribs. The blade struck by the terrifying power of the giant tribe not only failed to harm her in the slightest, but also shattered its weapon. At the age of 6, forming a pirate group with a loaf of bread can easily destroy a city. In an era where Lox may not have even made a name for himself, the first bounty was 50 million pele, and a few years later, the bounty skyrocketed to 500 million pele. These few years, even the highest 9 years, at that time Charlotte Lingling was only 15 years old. At the age of 15, he was offered a reward of 500 million baileys. The new generation of the Age of Pirates, whether it was the extremely evil generation or the Aces and the others, did not even have the qualification to lift shoes for Charlotte Lingling. Moreover, this is not the scariest place for Charlotte Lingling. The scariest thing is that Charlotte Lingling is a lazy person, a late-stage cancer patient who doesn't like to practice and only likes to eat and have children. She, who has so many children in the original work, is either giving birth or on the way to giving birth. During pregnancy, either eating or sleeping. Despite possessing the world's strongest talent, he has let down the world's love. Nevertheless, she remains one of the strongest female pirates of the Rox era, the strongest woman of the previous and current eras. Xia Yan only acquired the physique of a natural monster, while the physical fitness of a weak chicken immediately became invincible in all directions. The initial strength is so terrifying, which shows how amazing the potential of innate monsters is. So, Xia Yan will never waste her talent like Charlotte Lingling. After blasting another rocky mountain, Xia Yan rested for a while. During the rest, Xia Yan drank water while staring blankly ahead. It looks like being in a daze, but in reality, it's using a 1,000-mile eye to gaze at a certain island. That island is the Seven Waters capital. And Xia Yan's gaze was on Lu Qi and the others. They are all aware of Bruno's death. But due to the inability to find Bruno's body and the absence of any changes in Mr. Iceberg, they ruled out the possibility of exposure and continued to work as undercover agents at the Corella Company. The purpose of Xia Yan's surveillance of them is not to see them or investigate Bruno's disappearance and cause of death. But rather, I want to secretly use my mind-reading ability to obtain the Navy's 6 styles and the method of returning life when they practice. Having acquired the physique of a natural monster, Xia Yan will not fight with weapons like Charlotte Lingling. The most suitable ones for him are physical skills, armor color and domineering aura, as well as domineering color entanglement. He is a natural physical fitness expert. The Navy Type 6 is a physical exercise aimed at surpassing the limits of human physical abilities. Or, in other words, this is an exercise method that develops physical potential and constantly breaks through physical limitations. Practicing the 6 styles of the Navy is more effective in developing the body than blindly practicing martial arts on rocky mountains. However, this type of physical training can only be practiced by officers above the naval headquarters and CP organizations of the world government. As a traveler, Xia Yan finds it difficult to obtain this cultivation method. This is also the reason why Xia Yan is eager to seize the Superman series as starring Fruit. The earlier he obtains the Superman series of starring Fruit, the earlier he can secretly learn the Navy's Type 6, and even return his life. Lu Qi and a few others only entered the Corella Company as undercover agents this year. In the following 5 years, they could not have practiced the 6 forms. If abandoned for 5 years, they wouldn't have such strength in the original work. So as long as Lu Qi starts practicing, Xia Yan can secretly learn the 6 moves of the strongest killing machine in CP9's 800-year history. Chapter 7. Mastering the 6 Forms, the Third Strategic Evil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. September 5, 1515 in the Haiyuan calendar. Shave. Whoosh. The rocky terrain of the uninhabited island is littered with rocky debris. Not far from a pile of rubble, a lingering shadow flickered incessantly, accompanied by a piercing sound of breaking through the air. Every second, the afterimage changes position, as if it were moving in an instant. After flickering back and forth for a while, the afterimage finally stopped in front of a huge rock. Finger gun. Poop. Xia Yan extended his index finger and stabbed towards the rocky mountain. The hard rock, like tofu, had a small hole pierced by Xia Yan's finger. Several cracks spread from the small hole towards the surrounding area. Lan Jiao, chaos. Xia Yan kicked the rock into the air like a soccer ball with astonishing strength, and then kicked several green crescent slashes on his feet. Cut the rock into pieces before and after the slash, and smash it down towards Xia Yan. Paper drawing. Facing the falling rock fragments, Xia Yan's body was like drawing on paper, flexibly avoiding the impact of the gravel. Undoubtedly, it is a superhuman body skill, but its power comes in second place. Mainly, after learning the 6 styles, I found that I can easily control the strength of my body and no longer have the same inability to control the size of my strength as before. Xia Yan, who stretched lazily in place, sighed slightly. Yes, Xia Yan has learned the 6 styles of the Navy. Apart from the 4 moves just now, Xia Yan still hasn't used the moon steps and iron blocks. By the way, Xia Yan learned the Navy's 6 styles in just 1 day. Yesterday, Xia Yan's 1,000-mile eyes finally discovered that Lu Qi had started secretly practicing. With his mind-reading ability of staring at the fruit, Xia Yan smoothly obtained the cultivation method of the Navy's 6 styles from Lu Qi. Then, Xia Yan began practicing according to Lu Qi's cultivation method. As a result, it was discovered that my body effortlessly used the Navy's 6 styles beyond iron blocks and paper drawings. The reason why it took Xia Yan a day to learn all 6 postures is because most of the time, he spent practicing iron blocks and paper drawing. Xia Yan knew that it was not his strong learning ability, but his physical fitness was too strong. Just like Luffy discovering the principle of shaving and using second gear to strengthen his body, he instantly uses shaving. Xia Yan's physical fitness far exceeds the conditions for practicing the 6 styles of the Navy. With the ability to read the mind, the method of obtaining the Navy 6 styles from Luke, as well as the opponent's experience and insights in practicing the Navy 6 styles, it is normal to instantly learn the Navy 6 styles. And the Navy Type 6 is just the beginning. Developing one's own extended skills and mastering the return of life in the Navy's Type 6 is the only way to be considered a physical and artistic powerhouse. Unfortunately, Xia Yan also obtained the cultivation method of returning his life, but he had no idea. If we talk about the Naval Style 6, it's just a method of using the body. The return of life is the perfect combination of consciousness and body. Once you learn to return life, you can infuse your consciousness into your body and freely control any part of your body, whether it's your hair or organs. This is a kind of body art mystery. The person who controls the return of life means having perfect control over their own body. As long as Xia Yan masters the essence of this physical technique, He can unleash all his strength from the monster's body reinforced with golden fingers. There is no clue about the return of life, and Xia Yan is not in a hurry. At the end of the day, the return of life is a form of body art that perfectly controls the body. As long as the control of the body reaches an extremely high level, mastering the return of life is a matter of spiritual radiance. The Navy's Type 6 is a superhuman body technique that can enhance proficiency in body control. Another month has passed. Donghai, Rog Town. This is one of the world-renowned islands and also the most famous place in the East China Sea. Because this is the place where the pirate king was born and died, it is also known as the town of beginning and ending. After stealing the Navy Type 6 from Lu Qi, Xia Yan headed straight to Rog Town. During this period, Xia Yan went to Changchang roundabout to see if Faki was there. I have also been to Kaya Island and observed the Ani Road at an altitude of 10,000 meters with a 1,000-mile eye. The other party has already ruled Angel Island and God Island Apayado. Xia Yan really wants to go hunting Ani Road. After all, the natural series Thunder Fruit is one of the invincible abilities among the 3 series Devil Fruit. However, to avoid startling the snake, Xia Yan still dispelled this idea. The Thunder Fruit has a very disgusting ability, which is the teleportation of electric fields. This teleportation allows Enelu to ignore all obstacles and appear within any range covered by the electric field. If Enelu wants to escape, currently no one can catch up with him except for the yellow ape. The naturalization of elements also made Xia Yan's revolving door ineffective against him. And the dark water of the dark fruit must touch Enelu in order to render its fruit's ability ineffective. Xia Yan still has no absolute certainty about hunting Ani Road. So, he was prepared to wait until he captured the 3rd strategic level demon fruit before returning to hunt Enelu. In addition to Changhuan Island and Jiaya Island, Xia Yan has also visited the kingdom of Alabastion. Unfortunately, during this time period, Clockdale may not have met Robin yet, and the two have not yet arrived at the Alabastion kingdom to initiate the usurpation plan. Finally, Xia Yan also went to the kingdom of magnetic drums to observe Walpole, who had eaten Superman's swallowing fruit. Swallowing the fruit is one of the top demon fruits in the Superman series. Capable individuals can not only turn what they eat into a part of their body, but also synthesize new things. Even capable individuals can eat other capable individuals, turning themselves into alternative dual fruit capable individuals, and even multi-fruit capable individuals. If such a powerful demon fruit were eaten by a strong one, there would definitely be another super strong one on the sea. Unfortunately, just like Superman's slow fruit and Superman's childlike fruit, Superman's swallowing fruit has also been ruined. Xia Yan did not hunt Walpole. He already has the natural dark fruit and doesn't need the Superman swallow fruit. In the future, Wabeo will use Superman's swallow fruit to create a brand new metal called Wabeo alloy. With the help of Wabeo alloy, Wabeo not only became wealthy overnight and quickly became one of the wealthiest people in the world, but also established a kingdom and joined the world government. Xia Yan doesn't know how to make Weibo alloy, so he plans to wait until Weibo can make Weibo alloy before taking his demon fruit and memory. Chapter 8. The existence of Omni directional unsolvable problems. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Upon arriving in Logue Town, Xia Yan immediately opened her eyes and searched for Bartolomeo's figure. As a traveler, Xia Yan has an absolute advantage that Blackbeard does not have. That is his narrative layer, above everyone else. Unless it has not appeared in the original work, Xia Yan knows the intelligence and location of certain low-key or unknown abilities who have eaten top-level demon fruits, or top-level demon fruits that have not yet been eaten. For example, Eni Road, for example, Forsey, for example, Wapol, for example, Bartolomeo, whom he is currently looking for. Bartolomeo is a brainless fan of the original Straw Hat Pirates and also a superhero with barrier fruit ability. The Superman Barrier Fruit is one of the top abilities of the Superman series, capable of creating absolute defense barriers. This absolute defense means literally, unless with special abilities, the barrier of the fruit will not be destroyed by any attack. Even high-level aggressive attacks cannot break through the barrier's defense. The best proof is that he has successively climbed onto the Whitebeard Pirates and Roger Pirates, and has mastered the armed color dominance and internal destruction of the Light Moon Oda. He is also helpless in defending the barrier fruit. Unless the physical strength of the barrier fruit ability is depleted, or special abilities such as Superman Flower Fruit and Superman Gate Fruit are possessed, no one can break the defense of the barrier, let alone harm the people inside the barrier. Xia Yan is also very envious of this ability. After acquiring a multi-talented physique, Xia Yan aspired to build himself into a comprehensive and unsolvable existence. There is no invincible demon fruit in this world. No matter what kind of devil fruit it is, there will be its nemesis. Even the Nika fruit is afraid of sharp objects and will lose its ability when touched by the dark fruit. Similarly, there are currently no unsolvable people in this world. For example, Whitebeard, known as the strongest man in the world, had more than one match when he was at his peak. A person, even if they eat the highest level of demonic fruits and develop their dominance, physical skills, and swordsmanship to the extreme. But as long as the enemy is like him, he cannot become the true strongest. Embarrassingly, those who have developed demon fruit, dominance, physical skills, and swordsmanship to the top are already the ceiling of this world. At least before Xia Yan's crossing, there was no cross-dimensional combat power in the world of pirates. Strong like rocks, facing the combination of Roger and Cap, it still cannot avoid defeat. Therefore, at this stage, only those with multiple fruit abilities have the hope of breaking through the limits of the world and becoming truly unsolvable beings. Xia Yan has such potential. Seizing Superman's Gate Fruit and Superman's Starring Fruit, Xia Yan's perception and escape abilities have been fully utilized. If he takes the Superman Barrier Fruit again, his defense ability will also be exhausted. With the feature of being invincible, there is no longer a fear of high-level dominance, and there are also some flaws in attack abilities. After searching through the town of Logue with 1,000 miles eye, Xia Yan quickly found Bartolomeo's figure in an area resembling a slum. There's no way, that grass-green comb hairstyle and that nose ring are just too eye-catching. But soon, Xia Yan's face showed disappointment. Because he discovered that Bartolomeo is still an ordinary person and has not yet eaten the Superman Barrier Fruit. No need to use mental reading skills or personally verify. The injury on Bartolomeo's face and the fact that he only has 2 younger brothers around him are the best evidence. The original description of Bartolomeo is that before going to sea as a pirate, he was a mafia leader who ruled over up to 150 small towns. 150 small towns, the Dragon Empire of the Dragon Pirates, compared to Bartolomeo's territory, are simply small Karami. Bartolomeo was able to dominate so many territories thanks to the invincible defense of the Superman series. Barrier Fruit. Just like those with natural abilities, Bartolomeo becomes an invincible presence in the first half of the 4 Seas and the Great Voyage after eating the Superman Barrier Fruit. Even in a new world full of powerful people, there are few who can harm Bartolomeo. If Bartolomeo had already eaten the Superman Barrier Fruit, he wouldn't be living such a miserable life now, and there wouldn't be any injuries on his face. Upon careful consideration, it is also true that if Bartolomeo had already been a barrier fruiter, by the year 1520 in the Gregorian calendar, Smog would not have been the most powerful town in Logue. Bartolomeo, who has been developing fruit abilities for 5 years, will not have any admiration for Luffy. The time period when the other party eats the devil's fruit may be 2 years after the original work, or after the plot begins, the earliest being 1519. Regardless of the time period, Xia Yan arrived early. Xia Yan is somewhat unwilling. So he continued to observe Bartolomeo in the town of Logue for a few days. When Xia Yan saw Bartolomeo fighting with others in order to compete for territory, and his injuries that had not yet healed became even worse, he finally left Logue Town with regret. Due to abandoning the ship and arriving in the East China Sea, Xia Yan only piloted a small boat when leaving. Looking at the small boat under his feet, Xia Yan said helplessly, "When I have enough strength, I must go find that old lion as soon as possible." The old lion in Xia Yan's mouth is one of the legendary pirates of the previous era. In the Battle of the Aetwal Sea, he lost to the Golden Lion, Shiji, the Pirate King, due to luck. If the strongest pirate group of this era is the Whitebeard Pirates. In the previous era, the Golden Lion was the most successful presence among the remnants of the Rocks pirates. His Flying Pirates were undoubtedly the strongest pirate group before encountering that once.in.a. century storm. After all, at that time, the Roger Pirates and Big.Moem Pirates couldn't beat him, while the Whitebeard Pirates and the Beast Pirates had not yet developed. And the Golden Lion himself was once close to the ceiling of the world. The top-notch devil fruit, unparalleled swordsmanship, the domineering lion roar in all directions, and the strongest pirate group. It's not surprising that he, like the former captain, has the ambition to conquer the world. And Xia Yan wanted to find him, naturally for the sake of his demonic fruit. The Superman Piao fruit is one of the top demon fruits in the Superman series, and it is also seen by Xia Yan as no less than the Superman Shockwave fruit, and even more strategically intimidating than the Superman Shockwave fruit. Because Superman's Shockwave fruit can cause tsunamis and destroy islands, Superman's drifting fruit can also achieve it. And what Superman's Shockwave fruit cannot do, Superman's Piao fruit can also do it. For example, after a tsunami and the destruction of an island, those with seismic fruit abilities have poor self-help abilities. So when Whitebeard fights with others, he often suppresses his own strength. Firstly, he cannot fly, and secondly, his sons will always be around him. And Superman's Piao fruit has never had such concerns. Those with the ability to float fruits can set off a tsunami or destroy an island, and they only need one flight to complete self-rescue. What's even more terrifying is that if a person with seismic fruit ability wants to destroy an island, they must set off a terrifying tsunami. Otherwise, if they simply create an earthquake, it will take many times to sink an island. And the fluttering fruit ability can destroy an island by gently touching the ground, expending energy to float the island up, and the island will permanently float in the air. As long as the capable person is not knocked unconscious, regardless of whether they are asleep or how far away they are, this island will remain floating in the air. These floating islands can also follow the movement of capable individuals. Imagine, when a person with the ability to float fruits takes a floating island and flies over another island, then releases the floating power of the floating island. How many people in this world can withstand the impact of an entire island falling down? Even if someone can destroy the floating island, the fragmented island fragments are no different from meteorites. It's nothing more than a single unit attack turning into a group attack. This is why Superman's Piao fruit's strategic level deterrence surpasses Superman's Shockwave fruit. Similarly, this is also the reason why the Golden Lion, despite losing both legs, immediately caused a world-shaking sensation when he raised his head. This lion, even without the world's strongest pirate group, is still a lion. If this lion goes crazy, not only the Navy headquarters, but even the world government will be very troubled. But unfortunately, this amazing guy lost to a supernova with a bounty of over 300 million yuan in the future, who has not even mastered its dominance. It's just outrageous. His mother opened the door for outrageous. Outrageous. It was also in this battle that Luffy laid the foundation for the Theater King and began to walk further and further on his path. It also gave rise to the world-famous meme of, no matter how tough you are, there's a way to take a walk in the theatrical version. P.S. Those who think this book is good, I hope you can give me some flowers and votes. With your hands, you can give me great motivation and passion. Chapter 9. The combination of Little Thief Cat and Strange Thief. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There's no reason, I remember it's in this direction. Why haven't we found it yet? A few days later, the small boat was still drifting at sea. Xia Yan, who could not eat or drink for several days physically, took the map of the East China Sea purchased from Luoga town in one hand and the compass rotating with the pointer in the other hand, and roast, it's better to have a great route, no matter where you go, a recording pointer and an eternal pointer can fix it. It is easy to see from this roast that Xia Yan is lost. This is a very normal thing. Being on the vast and boundless sea, a wave or a change in wind direction can cause a team to lose direction at sea. The terrifying aspect of a great voyage lies in this unpredictable climate. If you haven't recorded the pointer or haven't paid attention to its changes, after a day has passed, you may still be spinning in place. But if you keep paying attention to recording the pointer and move forward according to its changes, as long as you don't sink the ship on the way, you will definitely reach the next island. So for Xia Yan, sailing on a great route is better than sailing across the 4 seas. And the 4 seas are too big. The great route is just a route sandwiched between the 4 seas and the windless zone. The 4 seas is the place where this planet occupies the largest sea area. Similarly, the islands and member countries in the 4 seas are also the most abundant sea areas. Without the guidance of eternal pointers, in order to find an island in one of the 4 largest sea areas, in addition to having a map, one also needs excellent navigation skills. Last year, Xia Yan, who was still in a modern city and had never taken a boat before since birth, had no navigation skills at all. After mastering the power of the canoe body, he also tirelessly embarked on a great journey. How to read a compass was taught by the staff of a navigation tool store. Until now, Xia Yan realized the importance of being a navigator and was even more determined in his idea of forming a fleet. The heavens seemed to hear the voice of Xia Yan. Just as Xia Yan scratched his head, preparing to find an island and recruit a temporary navigator. A small boat with a similar size, but an extra canvas than Xia Yan's, suddenly sailed slowly from the front. The chance of 2 small boats meeting on the vast sea is no less than that of Xia Yan hunting a group of pirates and obtaining the desired natural series and dark fruits in a treasure chest. Looking at the small boat in front of him, both Xia Yan and the people on the boat were slightly stunned. Xia Yan, who had been searching for the island with his 1,000-mile eyes, did not notice a ship ahead. After all, in the eyes of God, the small boat is as small as ants on the ground. As 2 small boats passed by, Xia Yan and the person across from each other saw each other clearly. Xia Yan was surprised to find that the person across from her was only 2 young girls. The 2 girls are of similar age, with only 13 or 14 years old in figure and appearance. The 2 of them have different hair colors, one is orange short hair, the other is purple short hair, and their eyes are also one brown and one blue. At this moment, the 2 women were also observing Xia Yan. If you observe carefully, you will find that their expressions are full of vigilance. Judging from their appearance, if it weren't for the small boat using the wind to move or changing lanes temporarily that might have caught Xia Yan's attention, they would definitely not want to brush past Xia Yan's small boat. Xia Yan also noticed their nervousness and felt slightly relieved about it. No wonder we went out to sea together at such a young age. This vigilance is worthy of praise. Glancing at the bulging bags behind the 2 women, which were also the reason for their vigilance, Xia Yan could see through what was inside even without using perspective. Treasure, a considerable amount of treasure. Seeing such a large bag of treasure, few people wouldn't resist greed. Xia Yan is one of the few people without greed. As a traveler and a strong individual, Xia Yan has countless ways to become rich overnight. The simplest way is to go to the empty island to find the golden village, and then sell it to the golden emperor. Xia Yan can immediately obtain billions of wealth. In extreme cases, Xia Yan can use the power of the gate fruit to infiltrate the treasure troves of those kingdoms and steal their treasures. So, Xia Yan just glanced and then withdrew his gaze. However, before retracting his gaze, Xia Yan glanced at the two women again. For some reason, he felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity between these two young girls. Looking at the departing small boat, the two girls breathed a sigh of relief together. Immediately, the purple-haired girl muttered, "You've never seen a face before. When did such a strong person appear in the East China Sea?" Strong. Upon hearing her partner's words, the orange-haired girl couldn't help but ask curiously, "Karina, how do you know he's a strong person?" Nami, your observation ability needs improvement, otherwise it's easy to suffer losses." Karina let out a unique laugh in her mouth, first making a harmless joke, and then generously sharing her experience. She took out a map from her arms, pointed to a location on the map, and slowly said, "The sea area we are currently in is surrounded by uninhabited islands. The nearest town, at the speed of our small boat, takes at least 2 to 3 days to reach. Our small boat also has a canvas, and that person's small boat doesn't even have canvas. But did you notice that there was nothing on that person's boat? A person sailing in this sea area, with no fresh water or food on board, and no surprises when encountering us. He didn't even say hello, indicating that his mental state is good and he is not a refugee in need of rescue. And if I'm not mistaken, he's holding a map and compass in his hand, indicating that his navigation skills are not very outstanding. He's either searching for an island in this sea area or heading to other sea areas now. Regardless of the type, it indicates that he has the ability to survive in this sea area without relying on large ships, as well as excellent navigation skills. This is a strong person's confidence. Okay. So impressive." Nami stared blankly at Karina, feeling the suffocation of intelligence crushing her partner once again. Although since we met, Nami has become accustomed to the feeling of being taken away by the other person, and has learned a lot from Karina. But she didn't expect that the gap between herself and Karina would be so great. Although they were all staring at the man for a while, they only noticed that he looked handsome, but Karina noticed so much. How strong is this fox spirit's observational ability and how agile is her mind? No wonder I couldn't fight her all along. Hee. There's still a lot you need to learn, come on. Karina was very satisfied with Nami's current expression and couldn't help but smile proudly, encouraging her. Immediately, Karina restrained her smile and said solemnly, "But the appearance of that strong person woke me up. Compared to sailboats, the field of view of small boats is too low. If we don't keep observing the surroundings with binoculars, we will only notice when other small boats approach. And there is no obstruction on the small boat, our treasure bag is too conspicuous. Fortunately, the strong man just now had no ill intentions towards us. Otherwise, we could easily lose this bag of treasure, or even throw our bodies into the sea." Upon hearing this, Nami's face turned white and her eyes were filled with a look of fear. She, who is accustomed to holding her thighs, instinctively asked, "So what should we do next?" Karina looked at the map in her hand and suddenly pointed to a location, saying, "Let's go to this uninhabited island to share the spoils first, and then hide the treasure alone. We'll come back to dig up the treasure when there's a big ship in the future." "Okay." Nami nodded and vigorously turned the sail. After listening to Karina's analysis, she now feels a sense of crisis in her heart. Only by hiding the treasure can Nami feel at ease. Chapter 10. Do not save beauty from the heroes of Azazee. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as Karina and Nami were going to the unmanned island to share the spoils, Xia Yan finally knew what that sense of familiarity was. "Hey! Kid, have you seen 2 girls over there? The 2 of them, one with orange short hair and the other with purple short hair. Honestly explain, otherwise I'll shoot you dead with one shot." Xia Yan's small boat was about to pass by a medium-sized 2-masted sailboat. At this moment, 2 guys who didn't seem like good people at first glance shouted at him from the side of the ship. Then there was another guy pushing a cannon truck over and turning the barrel towards Xia Yan, his words full of threats. Yes, they have piloted a small boat with a large burlap bag filled with things on board. Xia Yan pointed in the direction he was coming and said very honestly. Accelerate and catch up with them. Upon hearing these words, the few people on the ship immediately blushed with joy. Immediately, with a majestic shout, the people on board took out 2 huge oars and began to accelerate the ship, chasing towards Karina and Nami. Looking at the sailboat rapidly shrinking in the wind and manpower, Xia Yan's lips slightly raised and said, I said there's an inexplicable sense of familiarity. It turns out to be a theatrical version of the plot. Xia Yan's 1,000-mile eyes were fixed on the increasingly small ship, and his gaze fell on the strong man sitting in the middle of the deck. Xiaozhou's field of vision is very low, and without Qianli Eye, Xia Yan would not have been able to detect this strong man at all. It was precisely because he saw this strong man that Xia Yan knew where that sense of familiarity came from. The strong man on the big ship, named Mad Torega, was a chainman who had eaten the resounding fruit of the Superman series. At the same time, he is also a treasure hunter who has appeared in both the theatrical version of Golden City and the special episode of Heart of Gold. And those 2 girls are Nami and Karina. Karina, also an important supporting actress for the theatrical version of Golden City, has a beautiful singing voice and an extremely agile mind. Like the thief cat Nami, she is known as the thief Karina. I was originally worried about how to find you, but I didn't expect to take the initiative to drop you off, so I won't be polite. Xia Yan's lips slightly raised and he chuckled lightly, and it's still, buy one get one free, isn't today my lucky day? Yes, Xia Yan came to the East China Sea not only to search for 2 demon fruits, but also to recruit Nami. A person sailing on the sea, so now lost at sea, Xia Yan deeply understands the importance of an excellent navigator. And in this era, no one has a natural talent in navigation that can be even better than Nami. So when deciding to form a fleet, the first person Xia Yan thought of recruiting was Nami. So, after observing Ainaloan Wapel, Xia Yan immediately arrived at the East China Sea. Searching for someone in the vast ocean is like searching for a needle in a haystack. Xia Yan originally thought that the difficulty of searching for Nami would be even greater than his difficulty in searching for that demon fruit. Unexpectedly, on the way to find that demon fruit, the person I was looking for automatically came to my door. And still buy one get one free. Thinking of this, Xia Yan couldn't help but open the air door and enter a different space, using moon steps to chase after Mad Torega, Nami, and others. Quickly, Xia Yan caught up with Mad Torega. They also seem to know the location of Karina and Nami, and are heading towards the uninhabited island where Karina and Nami share the spoils. Regarding this, Xia Yan did not take any action and helped Nami and Karina solve the big problem of Mad Torega. Recruiting 2 women, he needs the assist of Mad Torega. So, Xia Yan quickly overtook Mad Torega and arrived at the island where Karina and Nami shared the spoils. In a different space, Xia Yan looked at the 2 women again, becoming more and more satisfied with them. In my mind, I am also thinking about how to recruit them and quickly make them my right-hand man. Not bad, Xia Yan doesn't intend to simply save beauty with heroes. The hero of Isaac's salvation can only gain initial favor. Moreover, such a coincidental rescue may even arouse suspicion from the 2 women. Even if the 2 women have no doubts and want to conquer them, they don't know how long it will take to develop a good impression. Xia Yan didn't have the time or the mood to slowly conquer them. If you don't use Isaac's method, then you can only use another method to make the 2 women recognize their status from the beginning. So Xia Yan silently watched the 2 women's treasures, waiting for the arrival of Mad Torega. Not long after, Karina and Nami hid their treasures and walked towards the direction of the small boat. But when they returned to the area where the small boat was anchored, they saw a familiar sailboat and a group of people getting off the boat. Not good. Seeing this group of people, Karina and Nami's faces changed suddenly. Even worse, that group of people happened to see them. It's the little thief cat and the strange thief, hurry up and catch them. Two stinky girls, hurry up and return our treasure. The angry and murderous roar frightened the two women's delicate bodies. Immediately, the two women turned around and ran away without hesitation. Unfortunately, as their bodies are still in their developmental stage, they cannot run away from those adults. After escaping to the rocky terrain of the uninhabited island, they were finally caught up by the men of Mad Torrega and pinned to the ground. After Mad Torrega followed up, he rudely struck them with an iron chain and then tied them up. Looking at the group of treasure hunters in front of them, Karina and Nami's faces turned pale. Especially Nami, her eyes were filled with fear, and her delicate body trembled uncontrollably. This is her first time losing her halberd since her debut, and also the second time she feels the suffocation of death after the dragon pirates. Nami, whose brain was completely blank, didn't know what to do now. My heart couldn't help but recall the scenes of Belmer and the villagers, as well as the agreement with the dragon. She doesn't want to die, she can't die either. Looking at Karina next to her, her face was equally pale and her eyes were also filled with fear. But her strong psychological qualities and flexible mind quickly made her suppress this emotion and think of ways to save herself. However, self-rescue is not difficult, but how can we save our companions and ensure that both are safe is the real challenge. Squeak. Just as Karina pretended to be calm and thought of ways to escape, the sound of opening the door suddenly reached everyone's ears. It is incredible to hear the sound of the door opening on the uninhabited island. So whether it's Nami and Karina who are scared silly, or Mad Torrega and others who are preparing to torture the two women, they all instinctively look in the direction of the sound. A clear circular air door appeared out of nowhere in the air not far from them. When the air door was pushed open, a young man wearing black long clothes and pants slowly walked out of a green space.